Welcome. Today we're looking at the mechanics of magical evocation. This is the practice of summoning a non-physical consciousness, bringing it into a designated space completely outside of yourself and communicating with it directly. Where invocation asks you to merge internally with an archetype, evocation keeps the entity external. The primary advantage here is delegation. Once you bring an entity forward, you can assign it a specific task, dismiss it, and let it operate independently while you focus your attention elsewhere. To start, you need 4 specific physical tools. You need a magical circle, a triangle of art, a basic consecrated altar, and a scrying medium, which is typically a black mirror or a bowl of water. Experienced chaos magicians often dispense with physical props, constructing these structures purely in their minds on the astral plane. But if you are just starting out, these physical tools serve as necessary training wheels. They are concrete anchors designed to forge absolute psychological discipline before you move on to purely mental constructs. Step 1 is constructing the temple. You begin by laying down the magical circle. This serves as your protected workspace and a physical bastion of your personal authority. Once established, you must not step outside of this boundary. Next, set up the manifestation zone. This spatial map shows the solid circle as your space and the distinct triangle outside it as the entity space. Inside the center of that triangle sits your scrying medium, acting as the specific focal point for its energy. With the space prepared, you select your target entity. You have a wide roster to choose from, including spirits mapped out in ancient grimoires, or you can summon an entirely original concept deity of your own creation. You also need to prepare a suitable offering to compensate the entity for its work. Depending on the spirit's nature, this could range from burning a specific incense to publicly praising its name upon completion of the task. It does not matter whether the spirit has thousands of years of recorded history or if you invented it yesterday. The success of the ritual relies entirely on the strength of your energetic boundaries and your absolute will to project that entity into the triangle. Step 2 is the conjuration. Before you make any calls, you execute an initial banishing ritual. This completely clears the room of existing lingering energies, so you have a blank slate to work with. Looking at the conjuration sequence here, once the initial banishing is done, you move to escalating incantations. Using the authority of your perfected will, you deliver a series of commands and prayers to draw the spirit across the veil and into the triangle. During this phase, absolute confidence is required. If you hesitate or show fear, your energetic boundaries will psychologically collapse. This is what leads to the false sensation of an entity breaking out of the triangle. To actually perceive the entity once it arrives, you need to shift your mental state. You enter a light trance and maintain a soft gaze directly into your scrying medium. Do not expect a movie-style physical monster or a solid humanoid to visibly materialize in the middle of your room. Waiting for a perfect physical manifestation is where most beginners fail. Instead, you practice multi-sensory scrying. You are looking for subtle, smoky shapes shifting in the depths of the mirror. You are paying attention to sudden phantom smells or sharp, unexplained drops in the room's temperature. When you confirm the entity's presence, usually through a telepathic exchange of images or thoughts, you move to the delegation phase. You project the specific task to the spirit, and you test the integrity of its responses by asking it strictly verifiable questions. A palpable atmospheric charge, the room suddenly feeling heavy, cold, or highly electric, is a far better indicator of success than a visual hallucination. When you feel that shift in the air, you have successfully created a temporary breach in reality, proving the entity's energy is genuinely present in the room. Step 3 is closing the ritual. This starts by issuing what is called a formal license to depart. The license to depart is a strict verbal command. It officially dismisses the specific entity you summoned, instructing it to leave the triangle and go forth to execute its assigned task. A very common mistake at this stage is packing up your tools and walking away the moment the entity leaves. This diagram shows why you have to keep going. The license to depart only applies to the single entity you called. You must follow it with a final banishing ritual, which acts as a sweeping hard reset for your entire physical environment. You can measure the success of this reset immediately. The heavy, cold, or electrically charged atmosphere of the room should instantly lift, returning the space to a completely neutral state. If you skip this final banishing, you leave your space wide open. The raw, energetic power generated during your conjuration acts as a beacon, potentially attracting unwanted spiritual influences that will linger in your room. An evocation is only fully complete when the ritual loop is safely closed. Properly sanitizing and resetting the space guarantees the magic serves your goals without lingering and causing disruptions in your daily life. At this point, the delegation is achieved. The spirit has been successfully dispatched to deal with the task, completely freeing up your own focus and energy for other endeavors. You now have a working framework. You know how to set up the physical boundaries, bridge the gap between worlds, delegate the work, and safely sanitize your ritual space afterward. As you progress over the years, you can begin to gradually phase out your reliance on physical tools. You will eventually reach a point where you can construct your circle and triangle purely through visualization on the astral plane. Mastering Magickal Evocation transforms you from a passive observer of reality into an active director, giving you the ability to externalize your will and command the invisible forces around you. To explore the internal techniques of invocation, or to find specific tools for upgrading your physical altar, check the resources in the description below.